Finding a job in Singapore will continue to be tough next year, with economic recovery set to be uneven and slow, despite the recent uptick after the circuit breaker. The central bank says that would mean more tightening of their belts and wages growing slower. It also warns that some sectors won't get back on their feet even by next year, calling the COVID-19 crisis deeper than previous recessions.
More dining in, more shops opening, and sales improving as high as 60% in the third quarter. It almost looks like life has returned to normal, but not quite. The central bank is warning that this GDP improvement will likely taper off. That's because many won't be spending much amid income losses and more uncertainty. Job prospects aren't looking up either, and that's going to mean wages won't creep up.
Even with the shift of these workers to hiring sectors like finance and insurance and information and communications, that may not be sufficient to offset the decline in employment from the worst hit sectors. Firstly, because finance and insurance, info and comm, they are not as labor intensive in the first place. And also secondly, firms that are hiring in these sectors may be a bit more cautious, given that government incentives like the job support scheme are also expiring.
Recovery is also going to be uneven and take longer than previous crises because COVID-19 has hit domestic segments like construction and F&B harder. Some sectors like travel and services that require close contact also won't recover to pre-COVID levels even by the end of next year. One economist says it could take as long as 2 years.
As long as COVID-19 remains in some parts of the world, then we can't have tourism activities we can't have it return back to what it used to be. So because of that, it definitely will take, those sectors much significantly longer period of time to recover back to pre-crisis level.
Meantime, government measures are expected to cushion economic contraction by 6.7% this year and 5.6% next year. And there are still some bright spots like electronics, since semiconductors and digitalization are likely to keep doing well post-pandemic. Right now, the central bank has forecasted full-year growth for next year because of this year's low base and hopes of a vaccine. GDP growth is expected to contract between 5 and 7% this year, its worst performance since independence.